So, as I mentioned before, I was told by a friend of mine that you got raided by the feds. They came and took all your stuff. When was that, Wal?
My memory's not good enough to put a date on it.
Okay.
But they're very active. I was certainly in their sights.
Yeah.
I was well known to Canberra.
Because of the research you were doing.
Yeah, and publishing it.
Yeah. That's what they didn't like.
That's what they didn't like.
Mm.
They were out to find out all the information they could get while they were trying to question any information.
So they were playing catch up to you to a degree.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
They're talking of, you know, no bodies ever been found, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
There's a university in Adelaide. They've got us. Melbourne. It should be Melbourne. They've got a room full of carcasses there.
Of big cats.
Of big cats. There was a up in that Ned Kelly country.
Yeah, yeah.
In Victoria, there was a big cat, Maryville I think it was. Near there were dogs being taken. And not just dogs, the things had a preference for bull terriers and Labradors.
Okay.
Something nice and chewy. And they were going off, and this here cat was found in the Ned Kelly country, and it was about 9 feet long, and it had been eating poison rabbits.
That's what took it out.
Well, Neville Smart was one of the ones that picked it up, and he got a couple of, someone threw the claw off, and somewhere I've got photocopies of this claw.
Okay.
Laying the claw and toe bones on the paper and shining through. And I can't recall the size of it, but it was enormous. I had the skull. I still had the skull from the first cat I shot at Parachelma, and it went to this university. I sent it to a biologist in Victoria. He wrote a lot on going to Canada, standing up on cougars.
Yeah.
They were what the hell happened? He took it to this university, this skull to this university, and the last I saw.
It was a one-way ticket.
They hung on to it at this university.
Okay.
In Melbourne.
Oh.
Apparently they had a stacker. Well, the cat from Ned Kelly country, they took that, and when people inquired what was this cat, all they got was what cat. Complete denial that it ever existed.
I read a sighting somewhere of a fella in Queensland who found a roadkill thylacine, and he also took it to a university, I think in Brisbane. I'm not certain on that, but I think it was in Brisbane, and left it with them, and they said, yeah, get back to us in a few days or whatever, and he went back and said, how'd you go? And they said, how'd you go with what? They didn't want to know about it. They didn't want to know him. They had no recollection or any knowledge of him walking in there with a dead thylacine.
What did he have?
A thylacine roadkill in Queensland,
yes.
And this was within the last 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, they denied all knowledge of ever having seen him or him bringing it in there.
That's right.
Yeah. A similar thing happened in Tasmania, a roadkill. Someone found one on the side of the road and rang up National Parks and said, looks like a baby thylacine. And he said, oh, I think it's quoll. And they said, no, it looks like a thylacine. It's got stripes, not spots. And rang up about it. No knowledge. And another fella ran one over and it got away, but he rang up National Parks. About 3 days later, they came out with helicopters and did an aerial fox baiting program in his area. So yeah, they really don't want these things to be found, as far as we can tell.
Yeah, also in West Australia, the cat shot, and it was in a wood area, a timber area, and a fellow, he'd been in public, in the news, and he was directed to go out and go to a certain tree and shoot the animal that they found there. So he went out and he refused. He refused, and so another bloke went out and he shot it, and his photographs were taken of it. And that was the carcass set up. It was all a scam. Whether it was this here dead thylacine.
It was a dead thylacine.
Well, they shot it. The fellow shot it.
And it wasn't a cat.
They'd been instructed to shoot it. If it got it, no, it must have been a thylacine.
Yeah.
And photographs, it was set up and photographs taken of it.
Okay, yeah.
And that was scary. Like if it had got known that there was a thylacine there, the country party would have been put out of bounds.
Yeah. That would have been the end of industry in the area.
Yes.
Any mining leases or anything like that would have been shut down real quick. You know about the Mundrabilla cave thylacine from the Nullarbor in 1964? Athol Douglas, who was the anthropologist or paleontologist that investigated that,
Yes.
he was quite convinced that it wasn't thousands of years old because there was maggot casings next to it.
Yes.
And they say that the carbon dating testing was flawed because of the water in the cave going through the carcass, giving a false reading.
Yeah.
But Athol Douglas apparently went back to that cave about 12 months later, and a dingo had fallen in the same hole and died. And he said that the dingo was way more decomposed than what that thylacine was, and it was found in the same cave. So I think they used whatever way of getting around the thylacine being fresh
Sure.
to their advantage, just to keep it covered up that little bit longer.
That's right.
And there was quite a few sightings along the Nullarbor in the early 60s as well.
Quite often.
Yeah. Apparently it's common knowledge around Ceduna that they're out there.
Yes.
The folks around Ceduna.
All the way through.
Yeah. Interesting. So I wanted to have a look at this huge cat print that you've so generously given me to have a look at. I'll just get you to hold that for me. So that's a good 5, nearly 6 inches across, I think, Wall. Fair to say.
Shade about 6.5 inches across.
About 6.5 inches across, and this is big cat for sure. No claw prints.
This is the only prints where it apparently jumped over a fence.
Yeah. Can you tell me about this print?
Very little, but in the same district, there was a young camel who was taken out over an 8-foot fence. The cat had jumped an 8-foot fence
Yeah.
with a small camel.
My goodness. Strong animal.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who took this print cast was their camel farm or something, was it? Or
Well, it was a lady over there sent it to me,
yep.
so I can't say exactly who took the print.
Oh, okay, fair enough. It's a big print. I mean, compare my hand to it. It's a lot wider than my hand is. My hand would be a good 4 inches. So, yeah, I think you're right. About 6.5 inches.
Sure.
It's a bloody big animal. I wouldn't want to bump into it. Awesome. Now these other ones you've got here, these are from the Flinders as well. This one here, that's from
Yes, that's the thing.
up in your way. This is Big Cat as well.
Yeah, well, this cat had taken a cage trap
Okay.
and jumped out of the yard with it, and the cat inside was dead, and the cage was mangled.
So someone was trying to get it out of the cage.
Well, the big cat was trying to get this feral cat out.
Oh, okay, to eat the feral cat.
Yes.
The cat eat cat world. Normally they say dog eat dog. Well, that's interesting. Just to, for comparison's sake, this is suspected to be a thylacine print from Victoria, and it's slightly bigger than that cat print by the looks of it.
Mm.
Now, the biggest thylacine that I know of to be caught in Tasmania was 9 foot tip to tip.
Yes.
That's about a 6 foot body.
Mm.
So that's longer than that couch pretty much, isn't it? I'm 5'10",
Sure.
so it's a pretty big animal. Have you ever seen a thylacine in your travels, Wally? You haven't actually seen one?
Close to one.
Close enough to hear it.
Oh yes. It told me up in a certain minute.
Was it a growl or a cough?
Growling and coughing.
Yeah. That was the one in Victoria you were telling me about
Yes.
earlier. Yep. Awesome.
Stink. My God, it stunk.
What did it smell like?
Rotten.
Rotten. Like dead animal.
Mm.
Do you think that's just part of their territorial thing?
Oh, could be.
Yeah. Now this print, this is the one that I told you about from the Coorong. What do you make of that one? I actually got a track line of that about 150 metres long. I didn't cast many prints though because I only had a little bit of plaster, but it was consistent running along. It was running quite fast. I think it was, from memory, I think it was about 54 inches between the strides.
Yes.
And they were in groups of 4, and then there was a large gap, and then there was another group
Well,
of 4.
certainly stretching his toes out.
Yeah, so it's running pretty hard. And from what I know, I believe thylacines don't have webbing between their toes. So this is part of the reason why their prints get confused with dog prints a lot.
Sure.
Because rather than being digigrade, they appear to be more plantigrade, and their toes are spread out quite a bit when they're running along.
Yes.
That being the case, you can understand that it's pretty easy to confuse a dog print with a thylacine print, I suppose.
And with a thylacine, the hind print, it's on the end of it, it's got a bit of a curl.
Yeah.
It's easy to tell a pike from a reel.
Okay.
So it's got this little bit of a twist at the back. At the
Like a
base.
little heel pad.
Out in the pad.
Yeah. the track line that I found in Tasmania has got a few really good rear prints in it.
Yes.
Would you like to see it? I've got it on my laptop. I'll just have to set it up. Just take me a sec.